Ask Tom on Home Show.
Mark from Crosby, Texas, needs a little home building advice.
Well, actually, he and his wife are building a house, Tom. Mark writes, what advice can you give us on selecting a builder? He said, we're building on 12 and a half acres we recently purchased in Vaughan, Texas. He said, there are 5 builders in Lumberton we'll be considering because they're close to Vaughan. How would you choose a builder? This is a question we get from time to time, Tom. I'm always intrigued by how you answer this.
Yeah, and it's always a little different. First off, I always say go with your gut feeling when you find someone you really connect with, because that's really going to be important, because it doesn't matter about price. It's going to cost what it costs. $1,000 here or $1,000 less on a $200,000 project or more doesn't make that much difference. And quite frankly, nothing is going to end up the way you think it is today anyway, with the supply chain issues and stuff. But the advantage of being near a town like Lumberton, as opposed to Houston, Texas, is anybody and their brother can start a home building company in Houston, and nobody knows who anybody is, and there's no reviews, there's no way to know. It's just people come and go here. But in Lumberton, if there's 5 builders that have been doing it a long time, I would take the small town approach and start asking around at the lumber yards, the hardware stores, people's aunts, uncles at the diner, whatever you're doing in your little town. Believe me, if somebody's no good at something in little towns, you will hear it real quick. And in a big town like Houston, people just won't know. So I think that's a real advantage. Now, as far as business goes, I think they should have a place of business so you can go to it, that they have a real street mailing address. They have a phone, someone answering the phone. Not a service, not their cell phone, but something that you can talk to. I'm sure they'll give you their cell number if they're a small town builder, because my clients always had my cell number in case there was an emergency. And you want to make sure that they pay their bills so you can find out where they're buying their materials, call accounts payable. Hey, I'm going to use Tom Tynan. He builds homes here a long time. He said he buys stuff from me. I just want to know if he pays his bills on time, what kind of advice you give me. And you might hear, well, we really can't give it out, but he's been doing business here a long time. That's about all they might be able to say, but that's pretty good, because if he didn't pay his bills, they'll say, oh, that guy didn't pay his bills, he owes us, and we got liens on properties all over town. You're going to hear that. So that's something you can always tell the builders you'd like to do, and call their bank. They have to deal with a banker. When you're dealing with hundreds of thousands, if not even more than that, in money, banks have to control the money and run the money, especially if they're doing a bank loan or a construction loan on the property. So that's something else, is you want to make sure the bank is in good standing and knows the builder too. Those are 2 real good things to ask before, and the ones that don't have those connections, they won't get back to you.
What about insurance? I mean, how do we know that they're properly insured, they're going to be insured for our job?
That's a great question, because you want to tell them you want a certificate of insurance mailed directly to you, the client. And you want it to be mailed from the insurance agency with their address on there, explaining all the coverage and the period that it is in effect. And that way, if you ever have they drop their insurance, they don't make their payments, you will be notified, because the insurance agent has to notify you that says, hey, this guy just dropped his insurance, he doesn't have any. And that usually scares off the fly-by-nights. Guys that build homes all their lives, like I did when I was in business, it was like, yeah, sure, we just make a call, and it was part of the job. You're not making big trouble for them. It's just part of being a smart consumer.
You got a question, you want to be a smart consumer yourself? Click that Ask Tom button right there at HomeShowRadio.com. You'll be faced with this choice. You can write to us, or you can send us a video. Whichever is better. But you know what works in every case is when you send us pictures, and you do that with that form right there, because that helps us do a better job answering your questions. And that's what we want to do for you. It's why we do these every day. You'll find them at our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and of course at HomeShowRadio.com.